All right. Good morning, everybody. I have to just say, this is a very unique and amazing opportunity for me right now. I have none other than Mr. Wooldrige. Some of us knows him as Buzzy, but I tell you, he's one of my favorite teachers that I've ever had the privilege of being taught by. You know what I mean? So, introducing Mr. Wooldrige, and everybody say hello. How you doing? And Mr. Wooldrige, I have a few questions for you, man. I'm glad you're here. And
Glad to be here.
I'm glad you showed up, What got you into teaching, sir?
Actually, what got me to teaching, I was going to Central Connecticut State College at the time before it was a university. And I had a biology teacher who somehow pushed a button in my head. And I actually was sitting there in his class. I said, wow, this may be something that I want to do. Because prior to that, I couldn't do an oral speech in front of a class in high school or anywhere without just turning red and being anxious and stuff. So I said, maybe I can do this, and got through his class, got into other programs, got my BS in biology, got my MS in biology, and the rest is history. I started teaching, and I taught science for 38 and a half years, but that one teacher pushed a button, and that's what I feel is important in life. You can get one person to do that, to push a button in your head somewhere, and can change your life entirely.
Now, for those that don't know, Mr. Wooldrige spent most of his career teaching at
Bennett Junior High, then Bennett Middle School. My favorite place on earth.
Yes, he was not only a teacher, but he was also a coach. How many years were you coaching for?
I coached the 34 years I was there. I coached 32, either girls basketball, cross country, boys baseball. I was involved in anything I could get my hands on, and that was never, ever in my thought process. When I came to Bennett, I was a teacher. And then one of my favorite people of all time, Mr. Fred Lennon, took me aside, and you know him.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I need a 7th grade basketball coach. And I'm going, okay, but I don't know anything about basketball. He goes, don't worry about it, I'll teach you. Well, I sat in on his practices, and I watched him, and I ended up having a very good team to deal with. So when you have good players, you don't have to be the greatest coach in the world to start out with. And I had a wonderful year. The names, I could rattle off almost every one of the kids in the team back in 1974. Amazing group, but Fred, wonderful man that he was, got me started on that.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Lennon. He used to do a hook shot from half court.
Yep.
And it would go in.
Amazing man. Still is. Still living down in South Carolina, playing golf. Great guy. Talk to him all the time.
Yeah, I remember I had him for gym. I had Mr. Dooman.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Mr. Dooman.
Yep.
He was one of the few people that got me interested in going into the military at an early age, really thinking about going in there. And I remember he was very, very tough on us and getting us in tip-top shape, because you were not going to waste any of his time in his gym class.
I'm going to tell you a story. He was hard on a lot of the kids. He was hard on kids because a lot of times the parents, single moms, would come to him and say, hey, I can't get Yuri to do anything. Hey, can you help me out? And he would literally take these kids under his wing, maybe forcefully sometimes, but that's what he did, and it worked. I was at his retirement party, and there were people there, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students that he had. It was out in Bolton in a big pasture. And I'm going, this is a tribute to a guy that everybody said was a real hard guy, but they loved everything he did for them. Great man.
He pulled me out of the library one day and pulled me into one of the rooms, and he sat there and says, I better get my act together. Mm-hmm. Scared the living daylights out of me out of nowhere, and then next thing you know, things started slowly evolving. So I really appreciate him for that. Here's something people probably don't even know, but if those that have been around for a while should know, is that they named a basketball tournament after you. Now, what was that all about?
Okay, here's the deal. When we moved to Illing back in 2004, we had the Bennett Invitational Tournament. That went on for 20 years. And when we moved to Illing, I said, okay, we're going to have to change this in my own mind, because I was the athletic director. I said, we've got to change it. We'll probably make it the Manchester Invitational. Well, unbeknownst to me, one of my best friends, Mr. Daniel Bevan, decided otherwise. And he decided behind my back to name it the Buzz Wooldrige Invitational, and I always get a kick out of saying that I wasn't even dead, because that's what most tournaments are named after, dead people. But anyway, I was getting ready for the tournament this one particular year. I had just given up coaching the prior year, and I'm getting the gym ready, and I'm looking, and my mother walked in.
Oh boy.
My sister walked in.
Uh-oh.
My best friend walked in. I'm going, wait a minute, something is not right here. And I was blown away. And I got pictures of my little grandson, who was a year and a half old at the time, helping me sweep the floor. It was wonderful. Probably one of the biggest honors I've ever had, I can honestly say, to have that named after me. And it's a great tournament. I mean, not just Eddie Kennison, Walt Adamy, Dan Bevan, and I got this going back in the 80s, late 80s. And it's been going strong. I think it's the 33rd year, but only the maybe 10th year that it's been in my name. So I can't take full credit for it all the time.
Yeah, but you know what? It's an honor knowing that you've done a great job, and this is a way of giving back to you. That's just one small piece of the puzzle. You know, how many students do you think you've taught over the years?
I thought about this one time. I'm probably over 4,000.
Whoo!
And then the ones that I coached, and the ones that I had on student council, and the one you know, it's just incrementally larger and larger. But and to know that I've in some way, shape, or form I've touched their lives means a lot. And I've been really lucky in that I've had kids that are now adults that come up to me and say, "You don't know how you affected what I was like in 7th grade or 8th grade." And I'm going, "You never said anything." They said, "No, we were kind of shy. We didn't want to say." But to come back as adults and have them say that to me, it just blows you away. Because not always do you get a lot of positive stroking as teachers. You only hear the bad stuff sometimes. You know that.
Oh yeah.
But I'm lucky enough to have had parents and kids that were appreciative of what I did, good, bad, or indifferent. They appreciated it, and I appreciate them.
Here's something I think it needs to be said, and I think coming from in the profession you've been in for so many years, how important it is to have not only academics, but being a student athlete. How important is it for both of them to work together? And for those who don't play sports, what is the importance of doing something that's physical besides just sitting in class all day and doing schoolwork?
I get it. When I told you the story of Fred Lennon. When I started teaching, I had a terrible first year. I came in January, and I was the substitute teacher for 6 months. Even though I wasn't, I was there for the rest of that year, the entire year. And the kids couldn't get it through their heads that I was not the substitute. I kept saying, "I'm not the sub. I'm going to be here till June, so get that through your head." Well, they never did. And the summer of that year, I told my wife, I said, "If it doesn't get better this September to June in the upcoming year, I'm done. I'm done. I can't handle it. I can't handle blah, blah." So what happened was Fred Lennon came along and got me interested in coaching. And not only did that give me the ability to do things academically and athletically, it got me to know the kids in a different light. They got to see me in a different light. And my career, I mean, I can't tell you what it did from that point on. I mean, the accolades that I've gotten because of my teaching and my coaching and my this and that would never have happened if Fred hadn't said that. And I don't think I would have continued teaching, because it was another thing I saw. Kids should get involved in being student athletes because it gets them to appreciate the school more if they're doing something other than going to school, going home at 3 o'clock, watching TV, doing their homework, coming in at 8 o'clock. I feel sorry for kids that do that. And I always used to encourage kids, "Hey, come, get involved in something. Get involved in the track team. Get involved in the wrestling team. Get involved in this. Get involved in the student council. Get involved in the audio-visual club." There are all sorts of clubs. You were there. So, but the physical aspect, it keeps your mind fresh. It keeps your body fresh. It makes you a well-rounded, healthier person. And I always said that. My grandkids, God, they are involved in so many sports now. I can't keep up with them. We have to pick and choose now where we go on different days because they're all playing all different sports. There's 4 of them, so you can imagine how that goes. But it's extremely important not to be just a student, but to be a student athlete. Very, very important.
You remember a kid named Troy Peters?
Yes, I do.
He's
One
here
of my
watching.
favorite guys.
He's watching right now.
I love Troy. I love Troy. He was back in the day when it was fun to have those kids in class, and we laughed a lot. He'll tell you about Fred Lennon.
Oh yeah. Before we get ready to go, there's a lot of young people out there who feel like they're not, adequate enough in life, and I'm quite sure you've seen a lot of kids who have, very low self-esteem, and their confidence is not very high, and stuff like that. What are some of the things that you can, encourage them to do to gain that type of confidence?
Look, I'm going to tell you something that early on, I learned as a teacher that you had the kids in school and you knew them, the popular kids, the jocks, the cheerleaders, this and that. They didn't need me to stroke them. What I would do at the beginning of the school year, I'd watch the kids come in, and I'd look for the kid that was sitting by himself or herself, and nobody's really paying attention. And I'd go up and I'd start to talk and joke and kid around, get them to laugh a little bit. And if you remember my room was a display of more crazy things, posters of animals and sports teams and silly things. And it got the kids to look around and say, well, and some of the kids would sort of, focus on one thing, and we talk about that. And then the next day they'd come in, and I'd say, hey, and I'd get going. And by the end of the year, I mean, they weren't going to run for president. They were. I didn't change their lives entirely, but they were able to communicate with me, make eye contact. Where the first day of school, they wouldn't. And to answer your question, just get involved in stuff, I guess. Don't be afraid to open up to people like teachers, like coaches, like counselors and stuff. Don't be afraid to open up and speak what's in your heart, because as a kid, if you'd known me, and I'm not trying to be funny, if you'd known me growing up before I went off to college, you would not have known me. You would have known some person that blended into that wall and didn't care to be noticed by anybody. I was that shy, and I came out of my shell. Like Forrest Gump kicking off the chains. That's what I did, and the rest is history. I told you, I couldn't do an oral report in front of the class in high school without stammering and just getting the sweat would be pouring out of my body. But talk to people, communicate. Communication, one of the biggest things you can do in life is communicate with the right people.
Before we go, this is the last one, I promise everybody. Is it true that you are a Yankees fan?
Oh, come on. You want to hear something funny? Before I went to school in Boston, my dad and I watched the Yankees all the time. I went to school in Boston. If I had been a Yankee fan, I'd probably be hanging from a tree somewhere. They would not have put up with me being a Yankee fan. So all the guys in Northeastern in my dorm, we all went to Red Sox games. So I kind of morphed into that, and now the rest is history. I'm a fanatic. I go to 10 games a year, and I've been there going since 2004. Not really liking the way the salary situation is going in professional sports, but I don't know. Everything seems to be out of whack. But you know what? I'm a rabid Red Sox. I like the Giants. I like UConn. I like all sports. I'm a sports fanatic. But.
All right, everybody. This is Mr. Wooldrige. If you guys have any questions or you guys just want to give a shout out to him, get online and definitely leave some comments about your experience with Mr. Wooldrige for those that had the privilege of being his student or co-worker or just somebody that just from whatever walk of life you met him. And I tell you, I'm very blessed and honored to have him. Mr. Wooldrige, I want to say
one more thing?
Oh, by all means.
The Yuri that I knew back in 7th and 8th grade, I am so proud to see the Yuri that he has become. He is one heck of a guy, and I'll tell you, the growth that I've seen, and through whatever means you did it, whether it's the service, whether it's talking to Mr. Duman, whether it was Mike Lapp, phenomenal changes. You're very proud of yourself, and I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Troy made a comment about you, Mr. Wooldrige.
Uh-oh.
He said Mr. Wooldrige was the man before Gino.
Don't tell Gino that.
Mr. Wooldrige, I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, be good to one another, love one another, love one another. God bless you.